I always find it interesting to look at those songs that we think are secular but actually have a Christian meaning behind them. I think I'd actually heard that origin before. Perhaps we'd explained it in a service a few years ago. But I seem to remember that the 12th day actually represented the 12 tribes of Israel, or maybe I'm misremembering, or perhaps it's something to do with our difference between our Protestant and Catholic tradition. But the other difference I noticed, apparently in the Catholic tradition, there's only 9 gifts of the Holy Spirit, or certainly 9 that they mentioned. I'm sure we're taught that there's a few more, interpretation of tongues, prophecy, all those kind of things. Again, perhaps that's the difference between our traditions, but that's an aside. So, as I said at the beginning, today is the 9th day of Christmas, and according to that video, the 9th day of Christmas represents the 9 aspects of the fruit of the Spirit. I'm not going to launch into another explanation of what they all are, what they all mean, as I'm sure we've all sat through many sermon series and talks about that, but today, I just want to focus on one that's been particularly important for me, and I'm sure for everyone throughout 2020, and that is patience. I'm trying to avoid having our first service of the year mention the C virus word a lot, as I'm sure we've all had enough of it by now, but I think it's forced us all to rely on patience a lot more over the last 9 months since lockdown happened. And I've written down a whole list of things that you've had to be patient with. So patience with not being allowed to meet other people, patience with computers and Zoom that always seem to crash and play up at the worst possible moments. For me, particularly right in the middle of a communion service that I'm supposed to be leading. Patience when waiting in queues to be able to do our shopping at the supermarket. Patience with family that you've been locked up with for 9 months. Patience with the constantly changing regulations, and patience with those who make those regulations. But perhaps most of all, we've had to rely on our patience with God. We've been waiting on him over the past 9 months, actually, for the entirety of our lives, but particularly on the last 9 months to show us how this is all going to end, find out what his plan for this time is. And we really have had to be very patient. It seems like a long time we've been waiting. It's only really been 9 months, but it seems a lot longer. All around us, in the media, on social media, everywhere, people have been saying that once 2020 is over and done with, 2021 will be much better. And perhaps that might be true, but we still need patience. After all, it's not like the virus is going to look at the clock at midnight on New Year's Day and go, do you know what? 2020 has been rubbish. I'm just going to go away now. So 2021 is going to be fine. It's still going to be hanging around for a long time. Or at least I hope it will. No, I don't hope it will. At least I think it will. I would much rather the first thing happened, but I don't hope it will. I think it will. You can prove me wrong. I'm recording this on the 30th of December, so maybe by the 3rd of January, we're completely virus-free, although I very much doubt that that's the case. We will still need that patience going into 2021, patience with everything that I've just mentioned and more, I'm sure. We've just had the good news this morning as I'm recording this that the second vaccine's been approved, so hopefully that will help us to combat the virus and hopefully mean that we can get this over and done with a lot quicker, but we will still need to be patient as that gets rolled out, as we all get our vaccinations. And as long as we wait on and trust in God, we know that that patience is not in vain. We're going to have, I don't know, 1 or 2 songs now, depending on our timings. We're certainly going to have one, and it's called Waiting Here for You. It's all about waiting on God, waiting for God's power to rise up in us. And then we might have a second one after that, depending on timings. I'll let you find out.